When given a fraction like this, will you apply product rule to find the derivative? Well, you could rewrite it as 2x plus 1 multiplied by 3x plus 5 to the negative 1, right? So you simply just move the denominator and to bring it up to the numerator by changing it to the negative indices. Now, to do this, all you simply need to do is you define the first function as u and then the second function as v. So once you have this, you are able to apply product rule. But is this really the smartest way? Hello everyone, welcome to Olsen Cafe. Now in this lesson, we are going to learn how to use the quotient rule step by step. Now understanding how it works and see why in this case it is more efficient to use quotient rule than to use product rule. We will also be talking about when to use quotient rule and some of the common mistakes students tend to make. Alright, let's begin. Here are two basic equations that you need to know when applying quotient rule, especially the second one. Now, this equation will require the skills that I've covered in chain rule and product rule, whereby you need to know how to manipulate the term involved surd, or rather square root. Now, when we are differentiating fractions, or when there are both numerator and denominator, such cases, right, we will use quotient rule. Now, a simple way to remember is this. All right, we will need to fix the second, which is the function v, and then I differentiate the first. Then what I will need to do next will be I fix the first term and then I differentiate the second. What is important to take note here is in the formula, right, this is a subtraction, right, a subtraction here and not addition. All right, so let's begin and to see how we can apply quotient rule to differentiate these two equations. Let's apply quotient rule to differentiate this equation. First, we will want to differentiate each part. All right, so as I mentioned earlier on, we are going to fix the second and then differentiate the first term. So before that, I will need to define the numerator as u and then the denominator as v. Since it requires us to differentiate the first, and the first function here is actually our u, so u is equals to 2x plus 1. So to differentiate this, right, u prime will simply give us 2 by using power rule. Now once this is done, I'm ready to differentiate the second term. So to do that, what is the second term? The second term here is v equals to 3x plus 5. So again, by using power rule, I will get 3. Now, so I'm going to apply this and to sub into the formula. Right, so what I'm going to do is I fix the second, I differentiate first, right? So that means I will apply it into the formula, which is v du dx. So what is my v? V is 3x plus 5, and then my u prime is 2, and then don't forget this is minus. So I minus off. Now I fix the first, which is 2x plus 1, and then I multiply by v prime. Yeah, so once I have this, then I simply apply the formula. So this is a fraction, so divide by v squared. Now what is v? So v is equals to 3x plus 5. So I must remember to square the denominator. So once I have this, what I simply need to do is just to simplify the numerator. So by applying rainbow method, so I 2 times 3x, then I minus off 3 times 2x, which again give us 6x minus xx, which is nothing, right? 0. Then I look at the constant, so 2 times 5 give me 10, and then 10 minus of 3, so therefore numerator will give me 7. And what is the denominator? It's simply 3x plus 5 squared. So in this way, we can actually get the derivative very easily. Now, so let's talk about in such a case, why do I not want to use product rule? So over here, I've shown you that I'm using quotient rule and I can simply get the derivative rather easily, right? If I use product rule, you will notice that to use product rule, somehow, all right, when I have to rewrite this into a negative index, and I will need to apply product rule and chain rule over here. That means more steps, more chances of mistakes, and more messy algebra. All right, so therefore, in such cases, right, quotient rule is definitely more direct and cleaner. And in exam time, efficiency really matters a lot. Let's take a look at this second equation. This is definitely a more complicated functions. All right, so what you see here is there is a square root at the denominator. So let's see how we can actually manipulate and simplify such expression. Okay, so again, for us to use quotient rule, all right, we will need to find the derivatives for both the numerator and denominator. All right, so again, let's define the numerator u as 4x minus 1 and then the denominator as square root of 2x plus 3. So to do this, since I need to differentiate the first function, which is u, so therefore u is equals to 4x minus 1. So therefore u prime is simply equals to 4. So once this is done, I'm going to move on to the next part, right, which is I will need to differentiate the second function. The second function, which is the denominator over here. So in this case, right, this involves square root. So I'm going to straight away write it as 2x plus 3 to the power of half. Now, once I have this, all right, we are going to apply chain rule, all right, because there is an index. Now, so let's recall how do we apply chain rule. So chain rule, the tag will be I differentiate the outside, then the inside. So which means I need to differentiate this as a whole. So which means v prime will give me a bring down power rule, which is half, and then 2x plus 3. And now the index, I have half, subtract by 1. So that means I have negative half. But this is only differentiate the outside. Now I need to differentiate the inside. The inside is 2x plus 3. So which means I differentiate the inside. So this will give me 2. So again, by having this, I simplify half times 2. So this will equals to 1. So what is left is this term. So because there is the negative index, and I mentioned before, what I'm going to do is I am going to rewrite this into a positive index. Right? By doing this, it will help us to simplify, all right, our derivative easier. All right. Now, so once I have u prime and v prime, now let's substitute this into the quotient rule formula. So what will we get? So I'm going to have v du dx. So I'm going to apply what is my v. V is square root of 2x plus 3 and then multiply by du dx. And du dx, which is my u prime, which is equals to 4. And then subtract, all right, which is minus what? Minus u dv dx, which is v prime. So what is my u? U is 4x minus 1. And what is my v prime over here? V prime, which is the dv dx, is equals to 1 over square root of 2x plus 3. So this is our numerator. Then I'm going to write the fraction, so over v squared. Now what is v squared and what is our v? Our v is square root of 2x plus 3. So to square the denominator, this will simply just give us 2x plus 3. All right, now once I have this, let's be very, very careful here. Let's do step by step. We just focus on the numerator first. How can we simplify the numerator? Now, if you remember and watch product rule, you will be familiar with this. So what I'm going to do is I am going to combine these two as a single fraction. So to do that, my first term over here, this will give me 4 times 2x plus 3. Why? Because square root of 2x plus 3 times square root of 2x plus 3, this will give me just 2x plus 3. Then I subtract the second term here, which gives me 4x minus 1. And the numerator, because I have fractions, right? So there should be a common denominator, which is square root of 2x plus 3. Now again, I just want to highlight this is only the numerator. All right, now how about the denominator? Is divided by 2x plus 3, isn't it? So I'm going to write this separately. I'm going to write it as multiplied by 1 over 2x plus 3. Now, what is important over here is this. All right, I'm going to combine these two together. Now, for the numerator, it is easy. Right, it is simply just 4 times 2x, which is give me 8x. So 8x minus 4x, this will give me 4x. Then I look at a constant term. I have 4 times 3 will give me 12. So 12 plus 1, so will give me 13. So by looking at the numerator, this will give me 4x plus 13. Now, how about the denominator? The denominator, it is important that you know how to simplify these two terms together. So this denominator, after I simplify, it will give me square root of 2x plus 3 cubed. All right, so this is the part whereby I need all of you to take note, right? You must know how, all right, to simplify this term, all right, the denominator, to get the expression, which is the final one, square root of 2x plus 3 to the power of 3. So take note of this. So now that I have covered quotient rule, let's look at some of the common mistakes that students usually make. All right, now common mistake number 1. All right, students tend to forget the minus sign. All right, so do take note. This is unlike product rule. Product rule, the sign here is addition. But over here for quotient rule, right, the sign here is subtraction. Right, and don't forget, in the subtraction, we are using the second function, which is v, all right, minus of u, unlike in product rule. Product rule, whichever, it doesn't matter. All right, so for quotient rule, this is v minus u. So do take note of this. All right, the sign here is minus, not addition. So that's mistake number 1. Now, the second mistake, which is students tend to forget to square the denominator. All right, so the denominator here, do not forget, you must square the second function, which is v. All right, square the denominator. Now, how about the third mistake? The third mistake here is students tend to forget to simplify set, all right, for the denominator. This is, for example, that I went through earlier on. All right, so if you see such case, you have 2x plus 3 multiplied by square root of 2x plus 3. Now, don't forget, 2x plus 3, these terms, they are common. So at this point, you must have the skill, right, by applying laws of indices to actually simplify this till you get square root of 2x plus 3 to the power of 3. All right, so this is a very important skill that I need all of you to master. So today, we learned the quotient rule formula, how to apply it step by step, and why is it more efficient than product rule, right, when we are dealing with fraction. We also covered the common mistakes to avoid. In the next lesson, we will look at more differentiation techniques and the applications. So if this lesson helped you, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Bye!